authorization concept. This diagram, we can see the elements of authorization concept. So authorization concept in the technical form, it contains authorization class, authorization object, authorization, profile, roles, and user. In the end, we are going to assign the roles to the user. First one is authorization class. What is this authorization class? Authorization class is basically the group of authorization objects. First of all, we need to understand what is authorization objects. Each transaction code, when we are calling a transaction code, inside the transaction code, the activities are classified as authorization objects. We will go more detail in this one, how to identify authorization object, and we will have our understanding how the objects are being defined. So in general, when you are calling a transaction, this transaction also will be defined as a authorization objects. There is an object called S underscore T code instead of this one. This is authorization for company code, F underscore BKPF underscore BUK. This is for company code authorization. So this is an object. Inside the object, we have authorization. This authorization kind of fields and values. Let's say this particular authorization object is part of object class finance accounting. So this does not have any technical impact. We are just grouping all the authorization objects into different groups. In SAP, we have quite a lot of transaction code. On each transaction code have multiple authorization objects. So in order to identify this object belongs to which class, then we use this object classes. Like in human resource, in HR, we have different authorization objects. Same like this, we have P underscore log and P login. So these are all will be grouped into human resource. So this is object class, this is authorization object. Then authorization. This authorization has the technical values, kind of field and values. Field is in this case, the field will be uh, BUKRS. BUKRS means the company code. The value will be the company code itself. Let's say company code is 1001, that is the company code, then it will be written here. So that is authorization. So this authorization will have a technical name for this authorization. So this collection of authorization put together, we will have profiles. And the profile is basically generated from role. What is the difference between role and profile? Role is in general in the readable format. So role will have its own name, and you can also have some text to identify what the role is doing. This kind of information can be there in the role, and each role have one profile. The profile is basically technical objects coming from the role. So each role will have one profile. Please remember, it may be possible one role have more than one profile. This is again managed within SAP itself. If let's say the number of technical objects in one specific role, then it will be split into multiple profiles. But one role, multiple profiles. In general, each role will have at least one profile, minimum one profile. So this role is then assigned to one user. So in turn, when you are assigning the role in backend, the technical profile is actually assigned to the user. If you see in the older system, older than 3.x, you will see only the profiles are assigned to the user. We do not have the concept of role. But the problem there is that we cannot identify exactly which profile is for what. So that's the reason this role concept. The roles concept where you can have proper naming convention, you can have some text and documentation referring to this role, and you can identify what this role is about. Maybe we can go into our system and see how this is working, then it will be more clear for you guys. So let us log into our SAP system. We log into the client 800. Security trainer 1. Okay, let me go to one user using the transaction SU01. Let me take the same user as Mark. You go to the display, you can see this user Mark. Then I will go to roles. You can see this role is assigned purchase order, purchase order. I'll double click the role. This will open actually the role. Then if you go to the tab authorization, here you can see profiling. So this role is assigned to this profile. This is an auto-generated profile. We can also have our own profile names, our own customized profile names. So in general, we don't have our own profile names. We just simply ask SAP to assign its own profile name. However, if it is required, we can also do this. So let's go to display authorization data. It will take you inside the roles where we have authorization data. You can see here authorization class. We have two classes: cross application authorization objects and material management purchasing. This is technical name is triple AB and this technical name is MM_E. Material management is MM_E for purchasing. So this is the authorization class. So when you open one of this one, then you can see this is authorization object. S_T code is an authorization object. So let's open the T code, transaction code at the transaction start. That is S_T code is an authorization object. Here inside the authorization object, you can see this is the field TCD and these are all the field values. So let's open another one. Material management purchasing, you can see many authorization object. Let me open one of this. Then you can see field ACTVT, that is activity. And field value is 01, 02, and 08. Then BSART, that is purchase document type. The value is star. And this authorization, we have a technical name. This is the authorization. This is the authorization object. This is authorization class. So when you go back, you can see this is the profile and this is the role. And this is assigned to the user. You click here, you can see how many users this has been assigned. We have assigned to many users. So this profile, this role, which is assigned to the user Mark. You can see this role is assigned. We go to the profile tab, you can see the profile is automatically assigned. In general, you only assign the role, then SAP will pick up the profile and assign the profile to the user. As I said, when you assign the role, the profile is the technical object which is assigned to the user internally. Means when you just log into the SAP system, generally it loads all the authorization. It reads all the authorization which is assigned to the user. So that time, it is not going to read all the role information. It will only read the profile information. What are the technical objects which are assigned to this user? Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Now let's have a look into field objects and object class, how this is interlinked. So we have the fields which we have seen before: BUKRS, ACTVT, weeks, BEGRE. BUKRS means this is the field for companies. ACTVT means activity. So if you see here, BUKRS is assigned to different authorization object. This is not only for one authorization object. It is used by different authorization objects. because this is a company code describing which company you can access. So this will be used in many authorization checks. For example, M underscore MECH underscore BUK. This is used by class, object class, that is MM underscore R. And this same BUKRS is used by F underscore BKPF underscore BUK. This is used by FI. Like this will be used by different authorization object. We have thousands of authorization objects like this, which will be used by different authorization object classes. Now you may think, do I need to remember all these authorization objects? No, we don't need to remember all the authorization objects because these are already available in the system. You can go and check it whenever it is necessary. Maybe after some time, then you will remember some of the key objects, which is mainly used in many of the transaction codes like S underscore P code and F underscore BKPF and UK. This is an FI object, which is also used in so many authorization objects in a daily day-to-day activity. When we are doing, then we will see this object quite often. Okay. Maybe we can go to our system and see how these authorization objects are being organized. These authorization objects basically define as a table entries that's inside the system. You don't need to really go and check this one in the normal day-to-day activities, but just to understand how this is working, we can go back to our SAP system and check how it is working, how it is being organized. We are in our SAP system. We can go to the table to check the table. The transaction code is AC16. And let's go to the table TACT. This TACT is the table for activity. Let's see activity. And execute. You can see these are all the activities which can be assigned to the field ACTVT. Like 01, 02, 03 for display, 04 for print, 06 for log, 06 is delete, 7 is active or generate, 08 is display change document. Like this, you have so many activities which is already predefined. That does not mean that we will use all the activities whenever we define the field activity. So that also we can see there is another table TACTZ. Here we can go to the object which we have seen M underscore RECH underscore BUK. So this is the object which we have seen first, which is used in MM. This is related to some document, business document in MM. So if you see here, this object is using activity 02 and 04 only. So whenever you assign this authorization object, then it will have only these two activities. Like this, we could also see that in the next object, that is F underscore BKPF underscore BUK. In this object, you can see we are using many activity types like 01 for create, 02 is change, display, delete, log, print. Like this, we have many activities. So whenever you assign this authorization object, then you will have many activities which is linked to that. This is how this is being organized. As I said, you don't need to remember all these things, all these tables in the general scenario just to understand how this been organized. Trying to show you, then you will have more idea how this is working. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Now let us see how the authorization level works. We have two examples here. First is authorization A, where we have two field and values, BUKRS and activity. BUKRS is 1000, that is a company code 1000, 2000, 3000, 3000. and the activity is create, change, and display. So this user or this authorization set, which has view KRS is 10001, 2000, activity 0102 and 03. So if let's say we assign this authorization to one user, then that specific user will get authorization for create, change, and display for these two company codes. If you see here in authorization B, we have BUKRS 1000, 2000, 3000, all three of them, and activity is only display, activity 03. If you assign this authorization set, then this particular user will get display authorization for all three company codes. You will not get, or he or she will not get authorization for create and change, only for display. Now you may think, what will happen if we assign both of them? So if you assign both of them, the user will effectively have create, change, and display for company code 1000 and 2000, and will have only display authorization for company code 3000. That's the way it works. You can have any combination like this in order to meet the complex requirement in some cases. Next, let us see another example how the authorization and authorization profiles are being used. Here you can see authorization objects, and here also you can see the work centers. Okay, work center 1 and 2 and 3, we classified it like this. So here you have different authorization objects. Let's take an example of work center 2. So let's say when you have this authorization objects or authorization field and values which is assigned, that means S underscore T code is for the transaction code. So you will have effectively following transaction code F dash 22, F dash 27, FB02 and FB03. And F underscore BKPF underscore BUK is for company code. So for the company code 1000, we will have authorization of create, change, and display. And this is for sales organization or business office, I believe. And here we will have authorization for sales office 2000, 01, 02, and 03. So this is for account receivable F underscore BKPF underscore QOR. This is for account receivable. We can create, change, and display for account receivable for the account type D. Okay, like this we can combine the authorization. In this scenario, the user will get create, change, and display company code 1000, and for the sales area, create, change, and display for 2000, and for the document type D, you will have create, change, and display. So now let's see how the roles are created and how it is using the profile generator PFCG. As we've seen before, when we create a role, we can insert the transaction reports, web links, and we also can insert some location in your shared drive, etc. And these elements or technical elements can be grouped in the role menu. This is also quite interesting topic. We can have role menu where you can group some of the transaction codes or some reports or web links together. And from there, then you will maintain the authorization data, that is the objects. Then you will generate the role. During the generation process, it will create a profile. So when you assign the role, then the specific role, then this specific authorization profile is assigned to the user. Maybe we could have a look into our system, then we can understand this more clear. So we are in our system. So let's go to the transaction SU01. Let's use the same user mark. Let's go to the roles and double click on roles. Here you can see a tab called menu. Here you can see the role menu is purchase order. So inside purchase order, we have all these transaction codes. So whenever the user logs in, then you will have a menu which has a folder called purchase order. Inside the purchase order, the user will get all this menu. Maybe we could log into the system using the user mark. Let me log into the client 800. Now you can see we have logged into the user mark. You can see a menu folder called purchase order. Inside that you have this transaction. You see here, this is coming from this menu bar. This is the way this works. With this, we are coming to end of this particular session. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next session. Bye-bye.